Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my sketchbook. It is late in the evening for Boxing Day. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you got to spend some time with friends and family. That's very important. I haven't been home past little while, so it's been a few days since I've drawn a picture here on YouTube. I mean, I doodle all over the place even when I'm traveling, but not always on film, of course. Something that's popped into my head as I was sitting down was to sort of think about that boxing match that Jake Paul was involved in a little more than a week ago. That would have been on the 19th of December, I believe. But I remember seeing a picture last weekend. And I'm going to try to draw that, although it won't look exactly like it. But I'm going to do this from memory. So I don't know. Let's see what we can come up with. And I don't want it to be particularly violent, and I'm going to ramble on about something just out of my head as well. So here's the idea. The idea simply is this. There's not much in the way of gladiator sports so much anymore. Now, there's good reason for that, of course, because it is quite violent. And for some reason, though, people still like to see other people get hurt. That's not always a great thing. But Jake Paul is probably one of the best examples of an understanding of entertainment in this regard. So think of like wrestling, and I want to move this up a little bit. Professional wrestling of the WWE or what have you. When I was a kid, it was the WWF. People would go to them and in their faces basically say, hey, this is all fake. Everything you guys are doing is fake. It's prearranged, all this kind of stuff. Well, here's one of those behind the scenes sort of truth things. There may have been talk about what could go on while in the ring, but the injuries that these human beings would sustain are very, very, very real. So, this is one of those things that I hope people kind of catch on about with these gladiator type things. There are real consequences for what goes on so this is considered cruiserweight too, which is like 200 pounds or a little bit less than that. These are large individuals out there for your entertainment, I suppose, trading punches. And that's something you have to consider, whether or not you believe that this is fake or what have you. Again, I'm super impressed by Jake Paul for doing this sort of thing in that regard, because my goodness, I wouldn't want to take a punch for, especially from somebody that, gives punches for a living. Now, this is going to be a little cartoony. So from inside my brain, I do believe that shot that we all get to see of Anthony Joshua landing the punch on Jake Paul's jaw, I believe you get to see somewhere right around here, you get to see Anthony Joshua's head. I guess I could probably try to draw that in. I don't know. You see that Jake Paul, his glove is down, so his guard is down, let's say just off to one side or down below the jaw of Anthony. Anyway, again, I'm drawing this from memory, but I'm not going to draw it exactly like that anyway. Some part of this might be a little bit more cartoony than what's necessary. Anyway, I can't imagine some people seeing that punch and then saying something like, oh, it's fake. I think we all learned that he broke his jaw, and I believe in a couple of places. There's nothing fake about that. I truly believe that he sustained a brutal injury for this. And yes, entertainment and all that kind of stuff, this was very much a real thing that you witnessed. So I'm not meaning to have, like, violence or anything like that. This has sort of been hiding in my head. Let me look at my fist here. Let's put the glove kind of here. And then something like this. And as I said, I believe the head would be here in the right cross. But I'm not going to put that in, I think. I think I'm just going to leave that off to one side with a gigantic looking glove. I believe up here it says Everlast somewhere. Maybe banding over the center of the glove. Again, like I said, I haven't seen it since last weekend. I didn't watch the match live. I've only seen like the aftermath pictures and that sort of thing. So, yeah. I believe he's leaning on the ropes, but I'm not going to put that in. I am going to put in some of the jaws, beard kind of stuff. Anyway. I don't know hair-wise where we're at with certain things. But yeah, that's what I was thinking for Boxing Day, was thinking, how far some people will go to entertain. Think of like Tom Cruise making movies, and how you so often get to hear about him performing these super dangerous stunts. Well, that's a remarkable thing, to do that kind of thing, like that kind of risk is actually a pretty big deal. I mean, a lot of those movies, they require very specific kinds of like insurance, especially for the star of the movie to do that sort of thing. I think I talked a little bit about wrestling, and I remember seeing something where Rowdy Roddy Piper was kind of like confronted about wrestling being fake. And he stood up and basically just said, "Oh yeah, no, it's as fake as, like, me needing hip replacement and, all these stitches and all this kind of stuff. Like somehow him getting hurt wasn't real." I promise you, these individuals, even when you watch football and you think, well, are these athletes throwing games or doing whatever? People are getting hurt, and it's just kind of remarkable anyway that some aspects some people would think isn't real, and there are real consequences for all this kind of stuff. There's, well, CTE and all that kind of thing. But anyway, I'm going to get out a cup and some water. I'm just going to fill in something here very quickly. The arm of Anthony Joshua, just because I don't always use cross-hatching. I'm just going to blur in some skin tone. So yeah, I hope you had a wonderful past few days. If you celebrate Christmas, if you get together with friends and family and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's always good to be around people that you care about. I'll set the cup down. And I'm going to doodle in a couple of things here. It's only been 10 minutes. What would I do? What would I do? Well, I'm going to put in a couple of these sort of like Batman exaggerations of impact. And you can kind of do it opposite up here as well, a little bit too, I suppose. And you could have it all circular like. I didn't plan this. I'm just doing it now. Let's do this here to hide some of that impact. So for those who, for our entertainment, risk so much, in a way, I'd almost like to say, well, I'm going to say, well, thank you for your entertainment. I know I kind of take for granted nowadays when we have movies with computer generated images, but there was a time where a lot of those stars, they did their own stunts, or they had a stunt performer take care of that stuff for you. So watching Jackie Chan movies 25, 30 years ago, he was doing some pretty remarkable things and also getting hurt. And that's not great, but my goodness, the entertainment. So here I'm going to do that, and right off to one side I'm going to write something else. I'm just going to say, and I'm going to put another little parentheses here. So yeah, I didn't really go think that one through. Let's do that. This, something like that. Rough idea stuff, Up here, I'm going to say, thank you, Jake Paul. Boxing Day 2025. Get well soon. That's it. All right, that's kind of a messy thing that I have going on there, but yeah, no, I want you to consider what a wondrous thing, certain sacrifices that can be made for your entertainment, and the risks that so many people take in that regard. I mean, there were games on today with the NFL, and yeah, or was it yesterday? Yesterday. I think it might have been Washington and Dallas were playing each other on Christmas Day, so that's pretty wild. All right, then, folks. I think that's it just for a doodle's sake. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for hanging out. Come on back sometime. We'll draw something kind of silly again. And yeah, well, that's it. Ciao for now.